Welcome to the channel. In this episode, Larry will be demonstrating a quick, delicious, nutritious meal fixed all in one pot. This great meal can be prepared in the Instant Pot, Ninja Foodi, or any pressure cooker including stovetop. Now, here's Larry.
Hello y'all and welcome to the channel. In this episode, we're going to do a great cook on Instant Pot or Ninja Foodi or any kind of pressure cooker that you might have, including a stovetop pressure cooker, a cheesy chicken and rice dish that's really nice to fix. It tastes good, it's good for you, it makes a lot, it's not expensive, and you can get home from work or school or wherever you are, and in a matter of 45 minutes to less than an hour, you can go from nothing to completely done and have it on the table. So let's get started and I'll show you how it's done. We're going to begin this cook by pouring about 1 to 2 tablespoons full of olive oil in the cooker. I'm using the Ninja Foodi tonight. As I said, you can use any kind of cooker that you want for the most part. And we're going to turn it on sear sauté high. Let's go to sear sauté high and start, and we're going to let it heat for just a minute, and then we're going to put our chicken in. And what I've done is you can use chicken breast, you can use boneless chicken thighs, you can use any kind of chicken that you want. You're going to cut it up, and what I've done is I've cut this up into pieces, as you can see, and I'm using chicken tenders. You can use chicken breast, chicken thighs, anything that you like, but I just prefer using tenders. So I'm going to pour them in there. We're going to pour them in on top of the olive oil that I've already put in there, and we're going to brown these. They don't have to be totally cooked through, but they do need to be browned on the edges. So we're going to put them in there and brown them, and when they start to browning and ready for some stirring, I'll be back with you. Okay, you can hear and see these frying now. They're turning white on the edges. We're going to stir them around and let them cook a little more on the other side. We're not going to do too much heroics here, turning them to where they're all turned over, because we're not fully cooking them. We're going to pressure cook them when we're done. We're just trying to get a little bit of sear on them. So we're going to let them sear for just a couple more minutes, and then I'll be back and we'll put some spices in them. Here's our next step. You can see the chicken is beginning to be white and kind of brown a little bit on the edges, and that's just what we wanted. To that, we're going to add a teaspoon of thyme, and we're going to add a teaspoon of coarse ground pepper and a teaspoon of coarse ground salt to our mixture. And we're going to stir that and let it cook for just another minute or two. Sort of infuse those flavors into the chicken. The thyme in particular gives it a really good flavor. We're still on high sear sauté on the pot. And the next thing we're going to add is some onions and some garlic. We've got 1 tablespoonful of bottled ground garlic and a tablespoonful of pepper flakes. You can certainly put fresh pepper in if you like. You can cut the pepper up and fix it your way, but I'm lazy, so I use it out of the jar, and I think it tastes just as good. I'm not a big fan of onions anyway, and the flavor is less intense if you use the onion flakes, so that's what I do. Again, when this dish is being cooked by you, you make it your own. Cook it however you want, and you add the ingredients you want, the way you want. You don't necessarily have to do it the way I do it. I'm just trying to give you some thoughts and give you some ways that you can fix it and give you a basis for what you're doing. Alright, I'm going to let that chicken cook for about another 2 or 3 minutes, and then I'll be back with our next step. That looks about perfect now. You can see how it looks and how the edges are browned, and it's kind of dried up the liquids that were in there. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add 2 cups of rinsed white rice to the pot. Now all of this is going to make a huge amount that'll feed a big family or a bunch of people. All of the ingredients in this can be cut in half, and you can make half of the recipe that we're making for a small family or just for 2 or 3 people. As it is with this one, for me, I'm probably going to be eating on this thing for a week. So you can scale it down any way you want. There's 2 cups of rinsed rice that we put in, and we're going to add 2.5 cups of chicken broth. There's 2, and let's add another half cup, and we should be right on the mark. There's another half. There's 2.5 cups. Stir that around. A lot of these recipes that you do in the pressure cooker call for brown rice because the other contents and the other ingredients have to cook longer than what white rice has to cook. But in this recipe, the white rice seems to work just fine. We've got that mixed up, and the next thing we're going to add is 1 can of cream of chicken soup. I'm going to add that. And give it a stir. That'll add some body to the juice as well as some good flavor. I've still got the pot on sear sauté. It doesn't hurt a thing. It's going to be nice to keep it good and hot. It'll heat up a little quicker when we go to pressure than it normally would by doing that. Sure smells good with the garlic in there and the thyme and everything else we have. And the last thing we're going to do is we're going to add 1 bag. This is a 12-ounce bag of frozen vegetables. And put them in there frozen. That works fine. That way they get less mushy while they're cooking than if you put them in there thawed. These are somewhere between thawed and frozen. Stir those around to make sure they're all down. Also, another thing that's real important, make sure that all of your rice that's in there is completely covered by the liquid and isn't out in the air, or it's going to be real crispy in those places and it won't be fun to eat. Okay, we've got everything in there, got it all mixed, ready to go. Next thing we need to do is close the lid and make sure that we've got it on, got the valve closed. And I'll meet you in front of the pot and we'll turn it on and get ready to cook. We're ready to go with the cook, so let's do a stop so we get it off of the sear sauté. We're going to move our lever over to where we can go to pressure. We're going to go on high pressure for 8 minutes, and then we're going to do a quick release. So let's go ahead and get started, and we'll let it cook for 8. Of course, it's got to preheat, and once it preheats and get the contents under pressure, it'll start the 8-minute countdown. At the end of that 8 minutes, we're going to do a quick release, and we'll take a look at it and move to our next step, and we're almost done. See you then. It's been preheating now for about 8 minutes, maybe 9 minutes, and it just switched over to cook. We have 7.5 minutes, so we're going to let it do its thing, and then we're going to do a quick release. I'll be back, and we'll do the quick release together. We've got just a couple seconds left, and this is going to, there we go. It's ended, and so I'm going to turn the pot off, and we're going to do a quick release. And let that go, and then we'll take a look and see what it looks like on the inside when we open it up. The pressure is almost off the pot. So while it's finishing letting off the pressure, I meant to tell you, these Ninja Foodies are really high tech. These new ones, and it's amazing what all they'll do. One thing they'll do that I didn't use on this cook, and I purposely didn't use it because I didn't want to muddy the water for those that don't have this particular device. But when you're programming it for the cook time and the pressure, you can also program it to do a release automatically, either an immediate release of steam, a timed release with however many minutes you want, or a long release where it releases on its own time. So it's really amazing. Also, there's a link to purchase this and many of the items that we use on the channel in the information below. While you're there, also, if you would subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and click on the little notification bell, anytime I upload new videos, you'll be notified immediately, and it helps the channel immensely, and it doesn't cost you anything at all. So I appreciate it more than you know. Let's open the pot and see what it looks like. See what we have. Looks good. There's a lot of liquid on top, but it won't be once I mix it up and it goes down and it's absorbed by the rest of the rice. It looks perfect. Wow. It smells so chickeny and so good. Look at that. Let me see if I can get you a little bit better, get a little more close up. Look at that. Okay, the next thing we're going to do, we're going to put our final ingredient in. And what the final ingredient is 1 cup of grated cheddar cheese. I use sharp because I really love the flavor of cheese. And it's supposed to be a cup. I'm going to tell you folks, I'm going to use more than a cup. More than a cup. Because I dearly love cheese. Alright, there's the cheese. We've got that in there. We're going to mix that in so it melts into the rice and chicken and adds another dimension of flavor to it. You can see how quickly this has all come together. And here we have a great meal. Everything in one pot. You've got your protein, green vegetable, starches, the whole thing. You've got literally a one-pot meal that's fit for a king or your family, which is probably better than kings. All right. We're all set. I'm going to plate it up and then we'll give it a taste. So hang on and I'll be right back. Let's put some on the plate. The texture and the consistency is perfect. The liquids that I used was just right. If you wanted a little bit less dry, you could sure add a little bit more, or you could add less. Make it your own. That looks good. The next thing we're going to do, you know how I am about cheese. We're going to doctor it up and put a little cheese on top. It would also be good, be real good if you put a little fresh parsley, chopped it up and put it on top to finish it up. Let me taste it and see what it tastes like. This is the fun part I get to do that you don't get to do unless you make it yourself. And I'm hoping you will. It's going to be hot. Perfect. The ingredients are perfect. The seasoning is right. Again, as I said when I was fixing it, you can add more seasoning, like you can add fresh onions or do whatever you want with it and make it your own. But the way I fixed it, and I like it a little more bland than most people do. Enjoy it. I hope you'll fix it. I hope you leave some comments and some suggestions in the space below. There's also a full recipe down there, so you can highlight and print it and have it for your records. Thank you for joining, and we'll see you on the next cook.
This has been a production of Larry Under Pressure. thank you for visiting us today. If you are already a subscriber, thank you, and you know we love you. If not, please subscribe, like, and click the notification bell below. It really helps the channel to grow. Additionally, there's a list of Amazon purchase links for many of the items Larry uses on the channel. Purchasing through our channel costs you nothing more, and it's helpful to us. Take care and thank you again, and we look forward to hosting you on our next video.